Hi and welcome to another video for Year 7 Maths. The chapter will be focusing on ratio written time. The first subtopic is going to be about ratio of two quantities. Now, the first thing that you have to remember about ratio of two quantities is that you are making it in the form of A is to B, where A and B are whole numbers, and you can also write ratio of two quantities as a fraction A out of B. Now, what do you mean by ratio over here? Ratio, you are comparing two quantities together. I mean, like here 1:4, for example. Here, one table, there are 4 chairs. Okay, and for the first thing that we do for ratio is that we can and must always express ratio in its simplest form. Now let's start for the first example. Write each of the following ratios in its simplest form. Now here, A, 35 to 60. 35 to 60, you can express it as a fraction, as you are informed just now. Now 35 out of 60, this one both have a common factor of 5. So you can divide both by 5. 35 divided by 5, you can get 7. And 60 divided by 5, you can get 12. Now here, you don't leave your answer like this in a form fraction because your topic is on ratio. So your answer will be 7:12. Right? So that's the first one. Now let's have a look at the second one. B, 2:0.8. And now here, just treat it as fraction. 2 out of 0.8. And if you can recall from the operation of decimal, the denominator must be expressed into whole number by moving its decimal point. When you move one step here, you are adding 0 to 2. So here you can have 20 out of 8, and you can simplify this straight away. Now here, both numbers have a common factor of 4. So here, 20 divided by 4 is 5, and 8 divided by 4, you can get 2, and you can express this as a ratio 5:2. Now, let's have a look at the next one. C, 5 out of 6:2. Now here you have fraction, you must express this in the whole number. Now how you're going to do this is that you know that a fraction, when you express in the form fraction, 7 out of 12 is actually 7 divided by 12, right? So here you can express this as 5 out of 6 divided by 2. You know that here you have to do the reciprocal. 5 out of 6 times 1 over 2, and you can get 5 out of 12. Right, now here, this is already your answer, which is 5:12. Right, then in part D, half is to 3/4. Over here, this is also using the same idea you had before, which is when you have a fraction, it is actually a division of two numbers, right? So here, 3 out of 4, and then the division sign will become multiply. 3, sorry, no, it's not 3, it's actually 4 out of 3. You can simplify this. 4 divided by 2, cancel them, and then you can have 2 out of 3. Therefore, your ratio will be 2 out of 3. 2:3. Right, that's it for the first part. Now let's move on to the next part. Here, example number 2. Find the missing number in each of the following equivalent ratios. Now, equivalent ratios, this is also using the same idea as equivalent fractions. So let's have a look here. A, 4:3 is equivalent to 20 is to what number? So here, don't be afraid. Just express this as a fraction. 4 out of 3 equal 20 over a blank number. Now here, let's see that 4, how does it become 20? How are they equivalent to each other? It's because you are multiplying 4 by 5 to get 20. Now, whatever you do on the numerator, you can also do the same on the denominator. So 3 times 5, you can get 15. So the blank number, the missing number that you're looking for here is 15, right? Now, let's move on to the next part. B, 14:28 is what number? is to 2. You're doing the same thing also. Express the both ratios into fractions. Now here, you can see that the number is getting smaller. So when you do equivalent ratios or equivalent fraction, it means division. So here, 28 divided by something, it becomes 2. Here, it is actually divided by 14 to get 2. So here, 14 on the numerator is also divided by 14. So you get 1. So your answer is 1 for this one, right? Now, the next example here, it's about when you have two different quantities, different units, you must make them into the same units over here. So example 2, express the following as ratios in their simplest form. Now here, you are making sure that both quantities are the same. As for me, I will assume we'll just straight away go to the bigger number, which is 1 hour, and express it into minutes. So here, 1 hour times 60, you can get 60 minutes. Now here, when you know that already, 10 minutes to 60 minutes, you can make it like this, 10 out of 60. And since they have the same quantity, you can cancel them. That's very important to have to make sure that both have the same quantity, otherwise you cannot cancel it. So your answer for this one is 1:6. Right. For part B, 275 milliliters to 1 liter. Now, the bigger unit is liter over here. So you can change this into milliliters by multiplying it by 1000. So you have here 1000 milliliter, and once you are very sure that they have the same units, you just straight away divide, make it into form of fraction. And here, let's do it slowly. Simplify it by 5, divide by 5. So here 275 divided by 5 will get 55, and 1000 divided by 5 is 200, and divide by another 5 because you can go further from here, and you have 11 out of 40. And when you reach here, it seems like it cannot be simplified further, so your answer will be 11:40. Right? Make sure here for this example, the quantities have to be in the same units. Afterwards, you can simplify. Right? And last but not least, for example 4, there are 40 students in the class. Right? And then the ratio of the number of boys to the number of girls in the class is 2:3. And you have to find the number of boys and the number of girls in the class. Now here, what I will suggest you to do is to represent the ratio in the form of a box model, box diagram over here. I can draw it like this. Bar model. And then you have the ratio over here, 2:3. Now you can split this bar into 2 and then 3 over here, and then you label them. Let's say for the boys, I will label alphabet B, and then only 2 of them will fill with B, and the 3 will be filled with G, which stands for girls. Now here, this whole ratio, this whole bar model diagram is representing the total number of students in the class, which is 40 students. Here you can say that 5 divisions in the bar model is representing 40 students, right? Now, let's if they are equal, if these parts are equal to each other, so it makes sense that you can find one part represent how much. So here, to get 1, it's basically common sense that you have to divide 5 by 5 to get 1 on the left hand side, and you are doing the similar on the right hand side. So 40 divided by 5 is 8. Now, it has been apparent that for each part in the bar model diagram, this is 8, this is 8, this is 8, this is 8, and this is also an 8. So it makes 40 altogether. Now, let's find the number of boys. Since you have two parts, representing the boys, so the boys will be, how many parts are there in the ratio? 2. And then you multiply it by 1, represent one part in this bar model represent 8. So you get 16. So that's for the boys. And for the girls, using the bar model diagram here, you know that one of this part is 8. So you have 3 parts representing the girls. You multiply it by 8 because one bar represent 8. So you have 24. And you can double check that when you add 16 plus 24, it will give 40 students, right? So I think that's it for the example for ratio. I hope that it can help you to understand the topic really well for the two ratio involving two quantities. I think that's it. Thank you very much and see you again.